welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure to stick around and watch this video, and if you like it, make sure to click that subscribe button. And if you're a returning viewer, hi, I appreciate you guys as always. So today I'm going to be doing the second part in the IUD series. I'm just going to get straight into this. I'm going to start off with my experience. If you have not watched the first part of this video, I will go ahead and link it here. And yeah, make sure you watch that part first. That is like the insertion process and all of that. And I actually filmed that one with Amy and we were a little tipsy in that. But yeah, okay, so while I had the IUD in, so I got it inserted and I bled for about, I want to say like 2 weeks. I was bleeding. It was kind of more like spotting, really light. It wasn't anything crazy or heavy. And once it stopped, it stopped. That's it. I didn't have a period for all 4 years that I had it inserted until I'd say about like the last few months, like maybe the last 2 months, I started spotting like randomly. I don't know. And it was like this really like dark brown kind of like dischargey looking blood. I don't know if this is TMI. I'm sorry. But yeah, so it was kind of like that, and like it would just happen kind of randomly. And I had maybe like 2 really light periods while I had it in. Like when I mean light, it was like light, and it was again that like brown color kind of discharge looking stuff. I don't know how to explain it to you guys, but I mean, if you're a girl, then maybe you know what I'm talking about, like that blood that you get right at the beginning of your period kind of. So it was kind of like that, but other than that, I didn't have a period and I was just living my life. And yeah, as far as, so I'm gonna go into different topics and I'm just gonna like work my way through them, okay? So that's the first thing, so the bleeding. And then second of all, pain. I would still, this might sound a little weird, but I would still PMS like when I was supposed to get my period. So I would still like get some cramps and it would feel like maybe I was on my period, but I mean I wouldn't bleed. So yeah, that's kind of what I experienced, and that didn't happen every month, but it did happen pretty often. Like maybe every other month I would like feel those cramps and I'd be like, oh, like this doesn't feel good, you know? And I'd get like moody and all that, but I just wouldn't bleed. I don't know, it was really weird. But it didn't cause like any other pain. Like I never had like, I've always had like cramps, so that was nothing new to me. It didn't like increase the pain, it didn't lessen it at all. It was just like, it was there, it just would cramp a little bit. And yeah, as far as me feeling the strings, I didn't feel the strings. I would sometimes, okay, this was something interesting, and like this would freak me out, and it's gonna tie into something else. So sometimes my strings would get really low and I would freak out so bad. Like I'd be like, oh my god, this thing is like coming out of me, what the heck is going on, you know, like this isn't okay. But I like did a bunch of research and stuff, and basically what happens is during your cycle, your cervix, right, I believe your cervix and your uterus, I think both of them, they kind of move a little bit when you are going through different stages in your cycle. So that's kind of what would happen when I was supposed to be on my period. My cervix would lower, so then I would feel the strings lower. And I mean, they were low, like they were like low, okay? So they weren't coming out or anything, but like I could feel them. They were like right there. And the strings aren't rough or anything, and with time your strings get like more like fluid and like soft, I guess. They're not as like firm because of course there's like liquid and stuff. So yeah, it doesn't like scratch you or anything. I could just, if I checked my strings, they would be really low. This is another topic that I want to go into. I did have a few pregnancy scares while on it, because since I wasn't having my period, I would just always like scare myself so bad and think like, oh my gosh, what if, oh wait, I don't have my light on. Why don't I have my light on? That probably look better to you guys. Sorry. Okay. Like, what if I am pregnant and then I have this thing in, and like bad things can happen when you have an IUD and if you do happen to get pregnant. So I was always so scared. Like, I would be on YouTube researching like, oh my gosh, like, how do you know if you're pregnant with an IUD? Like, all this stuff. And it was really stressful, and I didn't get that way until probably the very end of having it in, and that's one of the reasons why I also got it taken out, because I would get so paranoid that it would just randomly stop working, because this little object is just putting hormones into your body. And what if one day it just decides to not put these hormones in? I mean, I don't know exactly the science of how it works, but I would just think about these things and I'd be like, I don't want to harm, like, if I am pregnant, a baby inside of me because I have this stupid thing inside of me. Does that make sense to you guys? So I would always be like so scared, and I did have a couple pregnancy scares, but I, thank God, was never pregnant while on it. But there is stories of girls that do get pregnant while they have the IUD in, and oh my gosh, my prayers just go out to them, because that is scary. It is scary. And so yeah, me personally, I did have some scares where I was like, I'm pregnant, but I wasn't pregnant, so that's good. And yeah, as far as like feeling the strings, Anthony was fine with them. Like, he couldn't feel them, but I feel like that's important to mention, because that is a common question when people are getting the IUD, and like, can your partner feel them, you know? And no, he couldn't. This is so TMI. Okay. I feel like that's probably all of my experience while I was on it. I didn't have anything crazy going on. I was just really paranoid towards the end of it, like that last year, and that's why I didn't keep it in the 5th year. And yeah, it was pretty effective, and while I had it in, I recommended it to everybody. Like, I stood by the IUD because it gave me no period, and I just didn't have to worry about getting pregnant. So yeah, but obviously, as you guys have seen, I did gain a lot of weight while on it, so that is something important also to note to you guys. I did gain a lot of weight while on the IUD. I gained probably 70 or more pounds, and a lot of that weight was put on in those first months of having it inserted. So yeah, a normal person isn't gonna gain that much weight in that short amount of time, but I did. Yeah, I don't, as far as like mood goes, I don't think that it really affected me that much, but honestly, I can't 100% tell you guys because I didn't pay attention to it. So I wouldn't be able to tell you guys like, oh, it like caused me depression, or I was like had a lot of mood swings or something. I honestly don't know. Like, maybe I can ask Anthony and I'll insert it here if he tells me that he noticed any difference, but I honestly don't think that it did. And that's about it. I'm gonna go into Amy's experience now. As you guys learned in the first part, she had 2 of them inserted. So I'm gonna go over the first one and her experience with that one, and then I will go into the second experience. So the first IUD is the one that her body expelled on its own, and she says that she found out it like came out on its own because she went in to check for the strings, and she basically felt the plastic. So she didn't feel the strings, she felt the actual plastic of the IUD, and it was out. So she went to the doctor, and they basically inserted a new one, right? But I'm gonna go over her first experience. So she said that for when she got it in, that first week, she spotted a little bit, but after that, the bleeding went away, and she had a regular period the next month. So it didn't make her, and once again, she had the copper one, sorry you guys, she had the copper IUD. And after that, she had a normal period. So it didn't stop her period because, of course, the copper one normally does not stop your period. I had the Mirena, the hormonal form. And she said her partner could not feel it. She said she would have recommended it to anybody. It was great. Awesome. But she did mention that she wanted me to tell you guys that it is important to check your strings if you do have the IUD or if you're choosing to get on the IUD, because she wouldn't have known that her body expelled it if she hadn't went in to check for those strings. So it's very important to check your strings and make sure that everything's okay down there, that everything's in place, you know, because if not, then you can put yourself in danger. And yeah, sometimes even if it doesn't have to be that the IUD came out, it can be that the IUD is going too far up also. That happens to women. So you do need to constantly check your strings. My doctor had told me to check it every month, like when my period would be, but her doctor recommended that she check it every 2 weeks. So it's just gonna depend. Listen to your doctor, do what they say, but I would say check it at least once a month to make sure that it is in place, you know, especially if you are on this form of birth control to not get pregnant. You want to be checking it, because if it comes out and then, girl, you're doing your thing, you're gonna get pregnant, you know. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but it's possible you're gonna get pregnant. So yeah, and I also asked her if she did have any pregnancy scares, and she said that she normally is a paranoid person, so she always thought she was pregnant, but that wasn't necessarily the IUD's fault, you know, because she still had her period. So I would say for a normal person, if you have the copper one, you're not going to be paranoid of this, but she's just a paranoid person. Okay, so now going into the second one. So she gets the second one inserted, and this one caused her to bleed a lot. So she said that she bled for almost 2 months, and it was pretty heavy, and it caused her a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort, because I mean, you guys, I was friends with her at this time, right? So she was like nonstop bleeding. Like, it was insane. Like, she was bleeding a long time. And she just, like, she was always in so much pain and always cramping. And Peter was always taking care of her. So, yeah, that second copper IUD really caused her a lot of pain. And she actually went to Mexico after she had this second one inserted. So when she noticed that like her period wasn't stopping and like this bleeding wasn't stopping, she wanted to have it removed, but she couldn't because she was in Mexico. And yeah, you can't just go to a doctor over there and have it removed, you know. She wanted to be over here to have it removed. So she waited it out. She kept bleeding, and finally she goes to the doctor, and the doctor basically told her that because she is so like little person, you know, and because she hasn't had children, of course that is always a factor, as I mentioned in the first part. The IUD was actually hitting the top of her uterus, and it was causing a lot of blood shedding because it was rubbing against it and irritating it, and that's what also was causing her the discomfort and pain. So she decided to go ahead and have that removed. But that was basically her experience. So her first experience was good, her second experience was bad. So that just goes to show the same person, but two totally different experiences, 2 different times. So it's really gonna depend on your body. But that was her experience. And then I also went ahead and asked Izzy how she felt about it. While she still currently has it in, so she also has the copper one, or no hormones. And as I told you guys in the first part, she does bleed a lot. So that was something that she said she bleeds a lot. She does have 1 regular period every month, but she said that during the month she spots like on days ongoing. And sometimes it's so much that she does actually have to use a tampon. So that's pretty heavy spotting. And she said that it's very it's more common that she's bleeding than she's not bleeding during the month, you know. And she said when she does have her 1 regular period, it is heavy. She said it's like really excessive bleeding. So yeah. And next, she also said that she doesn't feel like it caused any more pain or any more cramps than she normally would have. She didn't used to have cramps. She only had back pain. Like, she's always had really bad back pain, and she still has that, but she said that she has started to cramp a little bit, but she said it's nothing like crazy or excessive that she can't handle. So yeah, and she also said something that I found interesting was that her bones hurt now. So before, her bones wouldn't hurt, but like now when she's on her period, her bones ache a lot. She said from the waist down, like her bones will ache a lot. So I thought that was pretty interesting and something like maybe, I don't know, different people experience, and that's something that she's experiencing. She also mentioned that the doctor had told her that copper attracts blood, which, okay, I didn't know that. I'm not a scientist. I don't know if you guys knew that, but that is why a lot of the times the copper IUD will still cause you to bleed a lot and get heavier periods than you normally would have. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Of course, if you don't want to have hormones, everything comes with the price. You know, our bodies are naturally meant to get pregnant. So if we are causing it to prevent pregnancy, then of course there's usually going to be a price to it. So I guess that's just something to keep in mind. And I also asked her if she felt it, if her partner felt it. Her partner doesn't feel it, and she doesn't feel it. It doesn't bother her at all. So those are 3 experiences. Once again, Amy and Izzy have the non-hormonal form, which is the copper IUD, and I had the hormonal form, which was the Mirena. And yeah, these were our experiences. I hope that you guys found this helpful and informational. Once again, it is just going to depend on your body. You want to make sure to see your doctor about this. You want to make sure to go over this with your doctor and pick the right form of birth control for you. We are just sharing our experiences, and I just asked them because I want to get their insights since they did have a different form of the IUD. And as you guys can see, all of our experiences are very different. I think that's everything I wanted to tell you guys. The next part of this will also be the removal of the IUD and the aftermath of it. So for that part, it will just be me and Amy because Izzy obviously still has hers in. So yeah, I hope that you guys liked this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like all my weirdness. And let me know if you guys like these types of videos, even though they're a little TMI, you know? I like filming these, informational, and I want to help you guys. And yeah, okay, I will see you guys in the next video.